Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to stage a branch device into Versa SD-WAN Network. And before doing that, I'm going to speak about the topology and what it is like, and then what are the steps that I need to take to do this. First of all, you should know that in my topology I have one site up here. This site contains some controllers. The most important ones are a director, an analytics server, and a controller. A controller is a Versa FlexVNF device, which is, as a matter of fact, a staging device in my case as well. Now, these devices are connected to each other in two different patterns. One of them is connected up here, which we call it the management network, and these interfaces are called the northbound interfaces, and the management interface is connected to the management computer, which I am using right now. There is another network that these are connected to. This is called the control network, and we call it southbound interfaces connected to control network. And then I have this controller connected to different parts of the network. One part is the transit network, which in my case, of course, I'm using the public internet, and I call it iNet. In my topology, this is just one router, but of course, there are a bunch of routers on the way. We can have other types of networks, for example, MPLS network, that we can connect to that as well. But in my topology, of course, I do not have any connection to MPLS network. There is a site down here, and on this site I have an edge device. The edge device is called FlexVNF 6. So I just use this to connect to the internet, and through the internet it just accesses the control network. And this has two LAN interfaces connected to different parts of the network inside, and one WAN interface. So this WAN interface is called VNI02. These two are VNI00 and 01. So what information do I need to stage this device into my Versa network? The information that I need is, first of all, I need IP address of this interface. I need IP address of the gateway for this interface. I need IP address for reaching to the controller. Also, I need a remote ID and a local ID. Local ID is going to be the ID of the whole SD-WAN network. This is a fully qualified domain name in the form of an email. And the remote ID is going to be the ID of this controller. Again, this is in the form of an email, and we call it a fully qualified domain name. Now, the steps that we are going to take includes this. First of all, I need to go to Versa Director GUI. I'm going to create a template. This template is going to be for the site. My site is something like this. It has one branch device. It has three interfaces. It has a connection to the internet. So these are the information that I'm going to put in this template. Why template? Because I can apply this template to multiple sites. Let's say that I have 100 sites in my network, and I don't want to create a template for each one of them. They are very similar to each other in this fashion, and I'm going to create this template and I'm going to assign it to them. Then, of course, I'm going to have a device group. Device group is the number of devices that are inside this site, so all of them are going to receive this template. After creating this template, I'm going to create a device. A device is a specification of this, including all the IP addresses, the IDs, and how I'm going to reach to the main data center here. So these are going to be created on the GUI on Director. The last step is going to be done on the device itself. I'm going to create a script, and I'm going to run this script to onboard this device, or as Versa SD-WAN call it, to stage this device. So these are the steps that we need to take. So let's start doing that. First of all, I need to go to Versa Director, and you can see that I have already created the controller. And if I just go to Workflow and go to Infrastructure Controllers and click on this vController, you can see that the only difference that I can mention is this one. There is just one checkbox that says this is a staging controller. So this is going to be the device that helps other devices to stage, and of course this is going to inject the configuration to those devices, and also this is going to act as a route reflector as well. So I'm going to close this, and here I'm going to go to Workflow, and under Templates I'm going to create a template. For now I have no template in my network, so I'm going to click on this plus sign, and you can see that there is a name. I'm going to say this template is for site 60. The name of the site is 60, but you can of course go with a better, more descriptive name. The type of the template is post-staging template. The organization name should be selected here. My organization name is Alex. The type of the device is SD-WAN, and I'm going to go with full mesh, but you can of course go with any of these four topologies here. On the right, the controller name is vController1, which I just showed you. And then if I just go down the solution tier, you can select it based on the type of license that you have. Let's say this is the first one. And the bandwidth, let's say 10 gigabit per second, and the license period is going to be 5 years. On the right, we have an analytic cluster, which I have created before. For preferred software version, because I'm using the latest software version, I don't have to check anything. Now, the most important part is going to be here, interfaces. Now, you can see that I have 5 interfaces here, but if you have more, you can just select this. For example, if you have 8 interfaces or something like that. The number of interfaces doesn't make any difference to what we are doing right now, but the interfaces should be selected very carefully. Now, we have an Ethernet 00, which is used for management. In this case, we are not using that interface. Then we have Ethernet 01, Ethernet 02, Ethernet 03. But as a matter of fact, when we check the devices, they are not called Ethernet 01 or 02 or something like that, or Ethernet 1, 2 or something like that. They are called VNI 01, VNI 02, VNI 03. So this is what we see here. So this is Ethernet 0, then VNI 01, VNI 02, or something like that. And then when we select them, we need to click on this and then say what type of an interface this is going to be. I'm using 2 interfaces for the LAN, and like I said, this is VNI 00 and 01 that are used for LAN. VNI 02 is connected to the internet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say this one is a LAN interface. The LAN interface is a layer 3 interface. If you have a layer 2 interface, you can click on this one. But here I'm going to say a LAN interface. VNI 0001 is going to be a LAN interface, and then VNI 02 is going to be a WAN interface. So you see that now under WAN interfaces I have one, which is VNI 02, and I'm going to select a network name. You can see that I already have created a network. If you don't have, you can just click on this WAN network and then create one, but here it's going to be iNet. The priority isn't important. I'm going to give the IP address manually, so I'm going to select the static here. The rest of the information are not so important for a WAN interface. Clicking on the LAN interfaces, I need to add a name for that because this is a layer 3 network. I could, for example, say this is VLAN 10, VLAN 20 or something like that. I would say this is LAN 1 and this is LAN 2. Later I might come and change the name, but for now this is just a placeholder. The most important part is going to be this routing instance, and you can see that this is Alex LAN VR. This is something that is automatically created for me. It is kind of a VRF which we have created before. The rest of the information is not going to be so important for my case. So I'm going to just click on continue, and in the end I'm going to click on create. So the template is going to be created like this. Now the next thing, like I said, is going to be to create the device. And of course device groups could be created here, but I'm going to create the device group right from here. I don't have to go to configuration. You can go to configuration, go to devices and select device group and create a device group, but you can do it right from here as well. So I'm going to go to workflow, on the left devices, and I'm going to click on devices. So far no device has been created. I'm going to click on this plus sign and I'm going to say the name of this device is FlexVNF-6. You can give it any name. And the global device ID, I'm going to say this is 106, whatever number that you want to have from this to 16,000 something. So the organization should be selected, and then under here the serial number. The serial number could be read from the device if it is a bare metal device, or read from the software if that is going to be a virtual machine. But here I'm going to assign a device serial number, and I'm going to give the serial number to the device itself when introduced into this. And the device group, so far I don't have any device group. I'm going to click on this device group, and the only thing that you need to have is a device group, which I'm saying site 60 device group, DG, and here the post staging template that I just created for that is site 60. And when you do this, you can see that on the right some information are going to appear. If you don't see that information, don't worry, just click on this little button and then click on OK, and they are going to appear right here. So I'm going to click on OK, and device group is selected. The model number, if this is a bare metal device, you can just select the model number. For me it is not, so I'm not going to do anything. And for subscription, I'm going to select 10 gigabit per second and 5 years of license validity. The location information you can add or you can just skip, but here country is the most important one. So I'm going to say US. Let's say this is in New York City, and that's going to be NY. The zip code, let's say 10001. And you can get the coordinates based on the zip code. That is going to be a good idea, because later there is a map that you can see your devices on the map and understand the where your sites are located. Now get coordinates may be a little time consuming for the first time, but the next time that's going to be super fast. For device service template, I'm not adding anything because for now no QoS, no firewall, nothing. I have added nothing here. But the bind data is important. Now if you have selected the correct template, then the binding data is going to ask you to fill in this information. You can fill it right here, or you can click on the name of the device. That is going to open this box, which is easier to fill in. So it says, what is the internet IP address? I'm going to assign 61.1.6/24 to the interface facing to the internet. Or let's say this is the WAN interface of the device. Then what are the IP addresses for the LAN interface? I'm going to say 172.16, let's say for LAN 116/24, and for LAN 2 I'm going to say 172.16.2.6/24. These are the interfaces facing inside the site. And finally, what is a gateway? That's going to be 60.1.1.2.54, which I'm going to configure it in a second. So I'm going to click on OK, and then I'm going to click on deploy. Now, like I said, iNet is just one router, which I'm going to configure in a second. So I'm going to go to this iNet, en show IP interfaces brief. You can see that no interface is up and running. I'm going to say interface E00, configure terminal, interface E00. This is the interface that faces the controller. I'm going to assign an IP address of 110.1.1.254, 255.255.255.0, and no shut. Just to make sure that the controller is available, I'm going to say do ping 110.1.1.203. This is the IP address that I have assigned to my controller, and the controller is going to be available, and it says that the interface change the state to down. So let's say show IP interface brief. I believe that there is a problem which I'm going to solve it in a second. That is based on the topology. So if I just reload it and then try to ping 110.1.1.2.3, seems that the interface has some problem. That's going to be okay. Let's say that interface E03 is going to be the interface that I have to configure for the site. I'm going to say no shot. IP address is going to be 60.1.1.254, 255, 255, 255.0. So this is the configuration that I have to have on the internet. So show IP interface brief. If it doesn't go down after some time, that's going to be what I really need, and it of course went down. I'm going to fix it, no worries. Okay, now you can see that I just reloaded the device and assigned the IP addresses again, and you can see that the ping to the controller is working just fine. So we have done some of the steps that we needed to do on the controller. We did all the steps that we needed to do on the director as well. We created the device, and the last step is going to be to create the device itself. There is a script that I need to run on the device. So I go to FlexVNF device. This is the first time that I am starting this device, so I have to type in admin for password Versa123, all lowercase, and this is going to take me to this place. I need to go to right now, if I just say if config, you can see that there is no IP address set on here. I'm going to go to /opt/versa/scripts. This is where I need to run a script. And if I just say ls, you can see that there is a script that is called staging. Staging.py, that is this script that I'm going to run it. So I'm going to say sudo./staging.py. But I need to have some, let's say, arguments that I'm going to show you here in a notepad. So I'm going to open a notepad, and I'm going to say, I'm going to run sudo./staging.py, and I have some information that I need. What are the information? If I just say --help, it says that these are the arguments, which are of course numerous. Sudo. So it says the password was wrong. Okay, Versa123. Okay, you see that there are numerous arguments here. Some of them are very important. -L is the local ID. Like I said, that's going to be the ID of the whole SD-WAN network. -R is the remote ID. That's going to be the ID for the controller. -N is the serial number, which I'm going to assign. ABCD-106. -C is the controller's IP address, which I'm going to say 110.1.1.203. This is the IP address facing the internet. And if I have an IPv6 address, you can go with C6. Then I'm going to say -W. This is the WAN interface. Like I said, I'm going to use interface number 2. In template, I assigned number 2 as a WAN, 0 and 1 where interfaces for LAN. So that is VNI 00, VNI 01, and I'm going to use VNI 02. And then static is going to be the IP address, which I'm going to assign to this interface. and gateway is going to be the IP address of the gateway for us. And of course there are some more information that you can have here. But if I just go back to here, there are some information that I need to have. What are the IDs? If you want to find the IDs, you need to go to configuration. You can go to devices, and then you can find the controller. ID of the controller is very important for us. So I'm going to click on this controller. On the left there are some tabs. The second tab is services, and then under that I have IPsec. I open this, and the VPN profiles. So you can see that for any device that you create, based on the number of networks that you have, you can see profiles here. So what I'm trying to use is the internet. So inet is the profile which I'm going to use. And of course, if you just click on the MPLS, the same IDs are going to be visible for you. So it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to click on inet and go to IC tab. And here you can see this is the identity of the controller, which I'm going to use as a remote ID. So I'm going to say dash staging dash R is going to be this one, vcontroller1, this staging at alex.com. This is a fully qualified domain name. And for the local identity, you can see that this is the local identity. I'm going to select this. This is the identity of the whole SD-WAN network. So I'm going to say dash L is going to be this. Now, what are the rest of the information? Like I said, we have to have dash N, which is serial number. So that's going to be ABCD-106. Then I have to have dash C, which is the controller's IP address, 110.112.03. Then I'm going to say dash W, which WAN interface I'm using. Like I said, I'm using WAN interface number 2. Then I'm going to say dash S, which is the static IP address, which I'm going to assign to this WAN interface, which is 60.116/24. And then dash G is going to be the gateway, which is 60.112.54. So do I need more information? I don't think so. So I'm going to copy this and go to here, and I'm going to run the script. So I just paste it and hit enter. Now if everything goes fine, this is going to take something like a minute to run this script, and then it is going to show you the prompt again. And when I see the prompt, I'm going to go back to GUI. So there is no error, so I'm going to go back to GUI. I'm going to close this, and yes, on the top of the GUI you can see this task. If I click on that, I can see what is happening right now. For now, this is the deployment of the device, but you cannot really see the staging happening. So you need to wait for that. And for more information, I'm going to click on Home and go to Administration. And under Administration, there is Inventory. I'm going to click on here, and you can see Hardware. If I click on that, it says that this device is shipped, but it is not yet claimed. So I need to wait for that. And if I click on this, okay, now you can see that the staging is happening. You need to click on this refresh button or auto refresh button, whichever you like, to see the progress. And if you do not see this, if you do not have any hardware serial number assigned to that, you need to go to this unknown devices and find your device there. But because I already have done that, after finishing, I'm going to see that this is changed to claimed, and I can see the device in the configuration tab or administration tab. So I'm going to wait for this. This is going to take some time, of course. So from time to time I'm refreshing this. Okay, the staging is finished, but there might be some problems that you need to be careful about. You can see that here under administration, hardware, I have this as status change to claim. There is nothing under unknown devices because I already have a serial number. Now if I just go to configuration, you can see that the device is unreachable. There is a reason for that, and That is, if I just go to administration, go to system, and go down to static routes, there is no route that says how am I supposed to get to the overlay network. I need to say that from the director, which is this one. Let me choose a better color for this. Red is better, I guess. Yes. So from the director, I need to get to here, right? If I want to get to here, what I need to do is to be able to get to this interface of the controller, and then controller is going to take me to the whole network. The whole network is going to receive an overlay IP address, which is in the range of 10.0.0.0/8 if you have not changed the defaults. You can of course change it, but I'm not going to change it. But to reach to this 10.0.0.0, I need to find this interface, the control network interface, or the southbound interface of the controller, and then use that as the static IP, as the route. So I'm going to go back to here on a static route, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say this is, you can add a description or you can just leave it. I'm going to say to get to 10.0.0.0, and how do you know this is 10.0.0.0? Let me cancel this out. If I just come down here and find SD-WAN, you can see that on the setting it says 10.0.0.0, and we have used 518 of this space. You can just change this, but like I said, I'm not going to, because that's okay for me. Going back to static routes, I'm going to create a static route to reach to 10.0.0.0/8. I'm going to say next hop is going to be the IP address which I have assigned to the control network. That's going to be 192.168.200. For the controller, that's 203. And to get to that, I need to go through my ETH1 interface on the director, that's Ethernet 1. So I'm going to click on this, and as soon as I do this, if I go back to configuration and wait for a few seconds, after some time you can see that this has changed to reachable, and then the staging is going to be complete. I need to refresh this for a few times, and that's going to take some time. And when the reachability is there, after some time you can see that there are information about the starting service start time, software version, and everything about that. So I need to wait for this. Also, you can see that the management IP address which is assigned to this is 10.0.1.1. So because this might take some time, I'm going to finish the video here, and that is how you stage Versa FlexVNF into your Versa SD-WAN network.